Hello beautiful people, it's a girl Genie and it's Genie's Signatures. So today I'll be making a very simple beginner friendly tutorial. It's a gown with ruffles at the sides and it's quite beginner friendly. It's very easy. So if you're a beginner, don't worry, just sit back, relax and see how I'm going to be cutting this, and it's going to be coming out very well explained and well detailed. So if this is what you're interested in, please don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, and don't forget to share. So I made use of 2.5 yards of fabric for this because the length is by 60. So if this is what you're interested in, like I said, let's go ahead. So now I'll be folding my fabric because I'll be cutting the upper part of this first, that is the half length from the shoulder to the waist. So that's what we'll be cutting first. So I'm going to be folding that into two so that I'll cut both the front and the back simultaneously. So I'll just get the biggest part of the body measurement for the upper part, which is the bust, divided by 4, and then you add your sewing allowances and then your dart measurements as well. So that is what I'm just trying to ascertain or get right there. So in order to minimize the wastage of fabric, you just get what you want as in the actual. So now getting the half length or the shoulder to the waist area, and so I'll cut that out like so. Okay, so I decided to do the front part first, then later I'll be cutting out the back, and then just add your zipper allowance and then you're good to go. So for the first, I'll be dividing my shoulder measurement by 2 and then add 1/2 an inch for joining of the sleeves, and then I'll come down by the same measurement for my armhole measurement. So, and I'll mark my shoulder measurement on that line as well so that I'll get a straight line like so. So permit me if the chalk is not very visible, it's because of the nature of the fabric. It's quite stretchy, so pardon for that. So for the neck width, I'll be making use of 3.5 inches, and then for the shoulder slope, I'll be making use of 1 inch. So that's what I just sloped. And then for the bust measurement, I'll just divide by 4, and then you add the sewing allowances that you would want to, but I added 2 inches sewing allowance. So to my shoulder slope, I'm going to be adding a inch for joining on the shoulder area. Now I'll be getting the midpoint of the armhole divided by 2. That is what I just did, and then I'll be carving out my armhole like so. I'll leave it like this for now because later I will still adjust the armhole for the front part. Now I'm going over to the waist part. For the waist, just divide by 4, and then you add 1 inch for that, and then 2 inches sewing allowance. But if you don't want to add it that, you can just ignore the that and then just mark your waist measurement and then add your allowance straight. So for the neck depth, I'll just come here and then I'll measure 5.5 inches, and then it's going to be a round neckline. So I'm just going to be connecting that like so. So we're basically through with the front piece. So I'll just cut this out so that we'll go over and cut the back piece. So if you've been watching my tutorial, you should be used to this process by now. But if you're a new person on the channel, that is why I'm just trying to explain everything in detail. So now we have our front piece. So I'll fold my fabric again and then cut out the back. But before that, let me just get my darts. So you divide your bust span measurement into 2, and then you give that a notch so that when you're sewing, it will be easier for you. Now I remember that this cloth has some salvage ends that there are numbers written there, and you don't want that showing. So when I was measuring my half length, I put that into consideration before getting my half length and the allowance. So that's what I just had to cut out. So this is the front piece like so. So let me fold back and then come back to cut out the back piece. So now I've already folded my fabric into 2 again as well, and then I added 1 inch for my zipper allowance. And then I'll go ahead and cut out exactly what I have there. The only difference between the front and the back is going to be the neck depth. So for the neck depth for the back, I just came down by 2 inches, and it's going to be a round neckline as well. So that is what I just trying to cut out. And then for the others, you're just going to be cutting out exactly as it looks, like so. Then notch your zipper, and then you slit open, and then you remove half an inch, slant it upwards to remove bulginess of the zipper at the back, and then you cut out the excess at the length of the half length. So if you have any questions, kindly feel free to leave it in the comment section. I'll be leaving my business number on the screen so that if you want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me easily. Yeah. So like I said in the last tutorial, I have some membership levels as low as 600 naira, 1.5, then 10,000 is highest. So anyone you would want to subscribe to for me to make a tutorial for you to as a special tutorial, you are always welcome to do that. Please just subscribe. And then if you appreciate what I'm doing, as you can see, it's not easy. You can just give me a little thanks, a token here. So now I'm going to cut the lower part. Now in order for you to determine the lower part, you just divide or you subtract your full length from your half length. So whatever you have is what is going to be making up for the length of the gown. So this is like the skirt part of the gown. So I've gotten my waist to my hip and then my waist to knee because I want this to be a pencil like you saw on the thumbnail. So those are the lines that I just marked. So right there at the first part there, I'll be dividing the waist measurement by 4, and then I'll add 1 inch for that, and then 2 inches for my sewing allowance. And then I'll come over to the hip measurement, divide the hip by 4, and then add 2 inches sewing allowance. Then on the knee, whatever I have there, I'll just divide my hip measurement by 4 and then mark exactly what I have there. I'm not adding any sewing allowance to that because it's the knee area. That place is supposed to be curvy, yeah. So I'll just connect like so. So I will be taking that same measurement to the length of the skirt. So your hip measurement divided by 4, just mark it right there and then connect it straight down. So we have various ways we can achieve this, but I've always used this and it has always come out good. So now I'll just get my bust span measurement divided into 2, and then from your hip line you can go up by 2 or 3 inches to get your dart. But I just want to indicate it so that when I'm sewing, it's going to be quite easy for me to go about. So now I'm just basically going to cut this out. So now for the sewing process, I'm not going to be showing much about that because I believe most of us will know how to join this. So it's of course going to be the end result you're going to be seeing pretty much very soon. And for the ruffles, I'll explain how I achieved that. At a point, I didn't know my camera was not recording. That was very I was not happy. So please kindly manage this. So now for the slits at the back, I'll just open it up like so and slit it into 2. So when I'm sewing, I'm going to be measuring like 20 inches from the length of my skirt upwards, and that should be okay for the slit for the skirt at the back. So I'll be setting this aside. Then for the front of the skirts, I don't really do this, but I saw it somewhere. I just decided that let me try it. Just come down by half an inch from your waist area for the skirt and then slant it down. I believe this gives it a very beautiful look. I tried it out and I loved the way it came out. So I think I'll be using this style. Just cut out half an inch from the waist. Don't worry, it's not going to be affecting the length or anything. So I liked the way it came out. So I'll be using this method, yeah. So this is what we have. So I'll just go ahead and couple all this together because there's no need for lining. If you want to use a facing, you can go ahead and use a facing. If you want to use a bias, you can equally go ahead and use a bias. You're okay. So like I told you, I couldn't record all these other parts, but these ruffles for the lower parts, the only thing you need to do is just to double the length of the skirt. I cut it out 3 inches wide, and then the length, just double it up so that by the time you pleat or you put your gathers there, it's going to be coming out like a ruffle. That was what I did basically. There's nothing so different. So I just have my sleeves. I cut out basic sleeves because that is what the material, the fabric would go. I would have done a buff sleeve. So I'm going to be attaching it, and that was how you saw what you saw in the thumbnail. And I hope you really enjoyed it. Please, like I said, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, and don't forget to share. And like I always say, this is Genius Signatures. Bye.